Good morning. It's Sunday, August 11th, and in a few hours I will leave to go to Vancouver International Airport on my way to Poland. As as many of you already know, I'm going there because I want to dive into the washing machine. The washing machine is the customary name for a series of trainings in possibility management. And the washing machine in Poland this year begins with an Expand the Box training, which is the foundation training for possibility management for people who want to study and use possibility management to create a radically different culture than the culture that has been alive for thousands of years on planet Earth, which is known as patriarchy. And this is a culture that is created consciously by humans, whereas matriarchy and patriarchy have been unconsciously created while humans have been figuring out survival. And archiarchy is a culture that is about consciously creating as an authentic adult, as an archan human, an archetypal being. And I've been studying and using possibility management for just over 4 years now. And the changes in my life have been such that my own mother describes them as miraculous. And yeah, it never gets old to hear her say so, even to other people. It's not just something she tells me. In any case, while I'm there, after the 5-day Expand the Box training, there will be 2 days off, and then a possibility lab, which will be an intimacy trainers lab this year, the second training, and then the third training is a game world builders lab. And it turns out that I am a game world builder, and game world is a term that's been invented in possibility management. It is a distinction. It's not it's a description of reality. And game worlds are any social structure. A family is a game world. A business in modern culture is a game world. And the distinction about game worlds is that if you're not clear about what the context of the game world is and its codex, its customs, its bill of wrongs, its bright and shadow principles, then you will be a pawn in the game world. And this was my experience of modern culture. This was my experience of many companies I worked for, even the families that I created. We didn't have a conscious codex, and I became a slave to the game world, which as an energetic reality, it defends itself. It defends itself even from the inside of me as I defend my identity in that company. After the Game World Builder Lab, there will be 1 week that I'm so excited to be at. It's called an Archiarchy Makers Fair. And this will be 5 days of radical collaboration. We'll be doing such things, or it'll be possible during the week. I can't say what I'll be doing or anyone else will be doing, but it'll be possible during the week to record videos in a little video station that'll be set up, to be online, to be building websites, to be taking photos of each other as we revamp our websites to fit more accurately what we've become after the 3 weeks of intensive training. I won't have a lot of time to be online during the 2 days between the trainings. I'll have more time during the Archiarchy Makers Fair, and I also will be making the most of the time while I'll be in person with other possibility managers from all around the world. And what I want is to document and to share what's happened during the week, prior, during each break. And I want to send this, I want to place this in my Patreon account, where I've been documenting for something like eight years now my adventures as well, in the last little while it's been my adventures as an ambassador for Archiarchy, and during the years before it was documenting my adventures as I became an ambassador for Archiarchy. Maybe I've been an ambassador for Archiarchy my whole life, and I didn't know it. I wasn't clear about it until Clinton Callahan and Chloe Destromeaux created a website called, I can't remember what it's called. I'll find out and tell you later. And it listed ambassadors for Archiarchy, and I was included in that website. And yeah, it was a moment where, when I saw this, I went into a liquid state, and transformation has become kind of ongoing for me now as I live more and more in a liquid state, which is this state between what you used to be and what you are becoming. And I would love, love, love for my updates to reach you. And so I ask, will you join the Patreon, my Patreon? And this would be with or without a financial pledge. And I have no expectation. I remove my expectation that you would make a financial pledge. It is so priceless. It is so valuable for me to have my communications reach you, and to make them in the first place, if they reach you or not, to document this extraordinary adventure in which I'm having the time of my life. So under the show notes on YouTube, or in the email I send this by, I don't know, my morning is basically going to be sending these off to you, and then I have 3 alarms set on my phone to help bring me into the logistical world of timing to catch the bus, to catch the ferry, to catch the bus, to catch the plane that I leave on this afternoon. Yeah, I'm starting to experience the field that is building as possibilitators from around the world orient toward being in Poland, starting to expand the box. And many will join for the labs, like people who will be at one training may or may not be at the next one also. And I've been experiencing ecstasy to watch the names of the people landing in the Telegram group, which is for the logistics for each training. And it's possible that even there will be people in the second, third, and fourth weeks that haven't arrived in the Telegram group, who haven't decided yet to go to Poland. That's all I wanted to say. There's something else. There's a way that I notice this energetic resistance coming out of my throat and out through my head. It does this sometimes when there are things that I've been holding back to say for a long time. And it makes me want to swallow, but try not to swallow so that I'm not holding in the resistance. I'm just going to try to say what it is so that it can come out my mouth instead of out this other way. Over the years since I started studying and using possibility management, I have been developing my skill of how to talk to it, to people who don't study it, don't use it, and it hasn't been easy because part of my shadow purpose and my shadow principles are superiority and knowing it all, or inferiority. So I switch back and forth between and can be simultaneously um, kind of presenting as inferior and small and humble and sweet and nice, and while at the same time uh, having another part of me being superior, like they don't know what they're talking about. Uh, there'll be voices like they'll never understand. They they can't fathom it. Yeah, I feel angry as I own this, that I let those voices stand without blasting them with one of the energetic tools that I learned to use through studying and using possibility management. In any case, this another layer of that, especially as I started to own these parts of myself and started to notice the voices, was to beat myself up about it. And so with all this going on, I often didn't have, I'll say, the wherewithal to share simply uh, about the culture that I've moved my point of origin into. And even as I say that, I get this impulse to explain and like as if you can't know or don't know or won't know what I'm talking about, or as if you'll get confused, and you may, and and that wouldn't be wrong or right. Or what I'll do is I'm going to write this down. Post a link to the website for Archiarchy, as well as the Point of Origin website, and also posted a website to the Poland washing machine, the Poland trainings. It has been the last 6 months, again, as many of you know, I've been based on the Sunshine Coast of BC, where I am enjoying the transformed relational space and the ongoingly transforming relational space with my mother, Carol. And I've committed to being here until one or both of us change our mind. And I'm having so much fun being in this field of love with her that, again, as many of you who've known me for a long time will know that wouldn't have been how I described our relational space, and maybe how other people described it also. I don't think anyone would have described Nicole and Carol's relational space as a field of love, or a field in which love was happening. And this has changed. This has changed, and it's changed because I study and use possibility management. And since arriving here in December of 2023, I've had countless opportunities to practice this speaking, this conversation, having this conversation as a person who's coming from archiarchy with other people who are coming from, because they have not moved their point of origin because they were born and raised during these times on earth is patriarchy. And when I say patriarchy, I'm talking about the colonial, capitalist, corporate survival game world that has been existing and evolving for thousands of years, starting when humans started to use agriculture, and then they had something, they were colonizing nature. So they were moving plants around on nature to make colonies of plants and animals distinct from the wild world, and and then also using the wild world as their source of resources for survival. And whereas during matriarchy, when the earth was a salad bowl and humans roamed in bands, and there was abundance of food, and Mother Earth provided for her children, as indeed she continues to do, and yet humans have evolved into beings who unconsciously collaborate to extract resources from the earth and sell them to each other, or give them to each other for fair exchange, sometimes an unfair exchange. And and this requires, or doesn't require it, but it puts a lot of pressure on a very small human being to build survival strategies so that it can survive childhood. And then without authentic adult initiation processes, these these young beings grow, and then they become part of the culture. They find ways to fit into the mechanical structures of patriarchy, and possibility management distinctions and thought maps and tools and processes empower human beings to extract this from ourselves, to deconstruct our boxes, to expand our boxes, because they can't, so far at least, be completely deconstructed. There's always going to be, as far as I can tell, something where I will always have a box. I will always have a gremlin, which is the active part of the survival structures that human beings create. And until the gremlin is initiated and distinguished and trained by the being who's training, using a team to train the gremlin will do its job, and will continue to do its job as the being discovers more and more and more of the jobs that were unconsciously given to the gremlin, and then changes the agreement so that the gremlin becomes my partner for transformation, and for becoming ever more an Arcan woman, creating archiarchy with my teammates. I've lost track of what I was saying. Oh yes, as I've been expanding, as I've been here on the Sunshine Coast having these conversations, I've become more adept at having the conversations as as an audaciously arrogant and as an audaciously arrogant Arcan woman, and as a human being on planet Earth with a sister, a brother, a family member, a fellow Earthling, a Gaian human who may or may not experience themselves as a Gaian human. I feel glad about that. I feel sad about the consequences of my incompetence, and yeah, relieved and glad to be going in, in, glad to be diving once again into the washing machine so that this competence can grow, especially in this last week where there will be people from I don't know how much of the world uh, who have not done an expand the box, who've not been studying or using possibility management, are invited. There's no prerequisite to join the Archiarchy Makers Fair in Poland except to get there. And there's a fee of 100 euros, and then accommodation and food costs that we all chip in to cover at the farm that we'll be staying at. Is there anything else? Yeah, if you're receiving this video, it's because you've asked me to include you on in my mail outs. So this would be you signed up for my newsletter, you signed up for my maybe I think I will send it to people who are already signed up to my Patreon also, so that you know what's happening and so that I have a little more time to do the practical logistics of being packed. I've started packing, but I'm not finished. And or you've given me your email. If you've given me your email for other purposes, I want to send this to you to invite you to join the Patreon team, so that I have one mail out to send each week, so that I would increase the likelihood that I'll do it and increase the time that I have to go on adventures with others who will be at the farm during this time, and to be more and more. I'm enjoying so much this removing more and more subtle layers of beating myself up and pressuring myself to do the things I think I should be doing, and to do be and do according to the impulses that are arising from. I think some of them, like, they come from my four feelings: my anger, my sadness, my fear, and joy, which are about the here and now, as distinct from in the past. It's come from my emotions that are about the past, and then I would be relating to people, to circumstances in the present, as if it was the past. And anyone who's known me for any length of time will know what I'm talking about, and anyone who doesn't know me might know what I'm talking about too. That this is how it goes for humans while we carry around these emotional knots and energetic, the emotional energetic uh, structures that are created when we mix our feelings using our emotional fear or anger or sadness, and they blend, and we use even joy to do this. And this is one of the things that some of the maps and tools in Power is to undo these energetic structures, dismantle them, take them out, send them into black holes, send them to other children who need them, so that they can be used to survive in these extraordinary times. In any case, I look forward to being back in September here in Western Canada with other possibilitators, offering spaces, creating and offering series and convergences of many kinds, online and offline. There is one already in the making, which is a radical honesty series, where I've been studying Brad Blanton's work through reading his book and through experimenting, doing experiments that he recommends. Also been studying and using the Possibility Management Radical Honesty website, which is a tribute to Brad Blanton's work. And I've been sharing so far about what I'm discovering, doing experiments, sharing my results in it became an 8-episode podcast, Edgecast. It's like a video series where I'm talking about it and reading from Brad's book. And next in September, I'll start a 5-week online collaboration series where I continue while I'm sharing and holding space for others to take up this research and begin this research or start it over, becoming more radically honest in all 5 bodies. So this is a possibility management distinction that I'm bringing to the radical honesty work, and I would love, love, love for you to join me in that series, and or in the things that, if you're on the Sunshine Coast, you may or may not have heard that I have originated something called the Climate Cafe. And the purpose of the Climate Cafe is first of all, it's not to get together and commiserate and complain and get nostalgic about what we've done, what we haven't done, what's worked, what hasn't worked. There will be a little bit of that, and it will be for the purpose of discovering our next jobs from Gaia as Gaian humans who are passionate about helping Gaia's risky human experiment to succeed, and helping to, I mean, I don't know if we will be able to curb the path of humanity away from this psychosomatic suicide by dishonesty, by killing the earth, enough of the earth so that the life support system that she is cannot sustain human life anymore, and taking down many other species with us. And this work is to get ourselves on track and to empower each other to be on track towards a brighter future for humanity. And this would be archaearchy. This would be human radical collaboration to create and regenerate the earth and ourselves, starting with ourselves, starting with this piece of earth, yeah, and that piece of earth. Is there anything else? And thank you for hearing me. I don't know how long I've been speaking, but if you've made it this far, thank you. And I would love to hear from you. I don't know how much time I'll be making during the 5 weeks to 4 weeks plus travel time to respond to messages I get. I will respond. Yeah, maybe not in such a timely manner, but I love to receive communications from people who have felt something, thought something while receiving my communications, and I invite you to do it in whatever way you have at your disposal. And if you're seeing this on YouTube, and it would be to leave a comment under the video. I wish you an extraordinary time discovering, uncovering, unlearning, learning all of the things that your being most deeply longs for. Yeah, to the extraordinary benefit of all beings, human and other than human. Yeah, wish you radical aliveness. Bye for now.